perhaps we can start off with a round of introductions. Myself, my name is Min. I'm the managing partner of Ethereal Ventures. We're a global early-stage crypto investment firm founded by former Consensus investment partners. And turn it over to Stani to kick us off.
Hey, I'm Stani. So I'm the founder of Aave, and at Aave we have multiple products. So at Aave Labs we built the Aave protocol, which is the biggest lending protocol with 17 billion worth of net deposits at the moment and deployed across 12 different networks. And now also working on non-EVM deployments. And then we also have other products that are Lens, which is social networking, and Family, the wallet that brings more people into the space. And super excited to be here with amongst all of these OGs.
All right, I'm Rune, co-founder of Sky, formerly known as Maker. So yeah, Maker is now Sky. Best and easiest place to get rewarded for saving. And tonight, 9 p.m., the Maker protocol upgrades to the Sky protocol. So, and this is the world's largest decentralized stablecoin. So this is probably one of the biggest things to ever happen in the history of DeFi. And it's going live 9 p.m. tonight. You can access it on sky.money and all the other front ends that integrate the Sky protocol. And what it means is you'll be able to upgrade your DAI stablecoin to the new USDS stablecoin and your MKR to the Sky governance token at a ratio of 1 MKR to 24,000 Sky. Yeah, it's super exciting. I'm really excited to be here with you guys. Also, in a little bit, I have another surprise feature announcement to make this morning.
What do Psy holders get? Is there a special deal for Psy holders? You still got some Psy?
We got a very good conversion ratio to ETH.
So I'm Kain. I founded Synthetics, which is a derivatives platform in 2018. And I'm now working on Infinex, which is basically a front end for all of the DeFi protocols that you know and love. So I guess my goal with Infinex has been to take every DeFi protocol that has been built over the last 5 or 6 years and make it much more accessible to a wider audience that is more used to Web 2 or CeFi, so that we can really show off this amazing technology that we built.
Fantastic. So we have a packed room, and it's rare that we have 3 DeFi gigabrains together. So if anyone has questions, we will be reserving about 5 minutes or so for Q&A. Just to get us started, so pretty quiet summer. I think there's a lot of catalysts coming up in the fall with the U.S. elections. Stani's been tweeting about a DeFi renaissance. So I'm curious what you guys are looking for in the next couple months for the rest of the year in terms of the market, and how is this cycle different from the others?
So I think that what I think of when Stani is talking about DeFi renaissance, I think of it as like there's it's a DeFi inflection point that is coming, and I think the thing that really defines it is that the industry is realizing we need to make DeFi easy to use. It already works. It's already great. Now we need to sort of level it up, prove to the world that it's become more mature. And yeah, the other week or 2 weeks ago in Korea, me and Stani, we announced the Sky Aave Force, which is one of these attempts to sort of show that there are things in the industry, in DeFi, that are just ready for broad adoption, making it easy to use. I think it's all there. The market is ready for this. Yeah, we got to make it easy to use. We got to bring it to the people.
Yeah, I think my take on this is that the infrastructure that we built over the last even 2 to 3 years in this cycle is so incredible. The things that are available today that make access to DeFi so much easier. There were things that we hadn't even sort of contemplated. We've got L2s that are scaling. We've got I guess all of these different tools that are available to us, but they haven't been put together. And so the goal of Infinex was basically to take things like Aave, things like Sky, things like synthetics, and make them much easier to use. To abstract away chain complexity, to abstract away gas, to abstract away all of these different things, and make sure that this amazing tech that we built gets usage, right? Like we've kind of tapped out the enthusiast audience that's willing to get their hands dirty and work out browser wallets and do all of this kind of weird stuff. You look at Curve, for example, right? Like there's only a certain type of degen that's willing to jump on a Windows 95 interface and understand how that works. We need to bridge the gap and get closer to the CeFi user experience that we have. And so that's my goal at the moment.
Yeah, and I would say that's kind of like the idea of the DeFi renaissance is a little bit kind of like a new perspective into DeFi and what we all built here so far. So, and DeFi is a space we see incredible amount of innovation and arguably also product market fit. So things that actually work on chain is decentralized finance. And what I kind of see is what is happening now as well is that we see a lot of fundamentals in this space. And what I mean by fundamentals is that we first time ever actually have now essentially decentralized financial infrastructure that is available to anyone. It's resilient, and the last point is that it's also it's also profitable. So we have these decentralized organizations like for example Sky and Synthetics and Aave, where these are open communities where people make decisions, choices, and actually these public goods make revenue. And that revenue is then streamlined back to the users in terms of different types of rewards and to grow and expand these public goods more further. And I think this is a really fascinating phenomena to follow and build upon, because DeFi is not about just creating financial opportunities that are based on distribution of governance power or community membership, but it's about actually creating something really valuable that can be applicable to every single person on the planet. And we see DeFi now, and so in the past, I started Aave in the very early days as more of a hobby project that evolved, and I was still in the university, and it evolved something that actually became very valuable after going back and forth and iterating the product. But now, my mindset is more about how this whole stack could be available to everyone, and what are the incentives that actually then drive people to use DeFi the same way they are using the internet today, without carrying that underlying infrastructure. So I think we can actually build the biggest businesses on decentralized finance that are completely governed by its users. And I think that's the kind of a DeFi renaissance I'm seeing now. And obviously, new opportunities, because it kind of brings DeFi to the surface again, and things that are happening now, bringing these financial opportunities is part of it.
Definitely, and speaking of inflection points, let's zone in on your individual projects. What's top of mind for you guys now? What's next on your project roadmaps? And I know you can wax poetic about this, so let's try to keep it to a minute each.
All right. So tonight, 9 p.m., Sky Protocol is launching. You can go to sky.money and start upgrading your DAI to USDS, upgrade your MKR to Sky, 1 to 24,000. It's designed to be really easy and simple to use and get the benefits of DeFi, but it's not just about being easy to use, it's also about having some really interesting features that will engage people and get more people into DeFi, as we're talking about. So with Sky, the core feature is native token rewards built into the Sky protocol that you can get with your USDS, right? So more than just a savings rate, you can get actual tokens that you care about, right? Projects that you think have some kind of interesting future. You can get those tokens just by holding USDS and using a Sky protocol and Sky.money or other front ends. So initially, the first token that launches tonight, 9 p.m., you can start getting as native token rewards is the Sky governance token itself. And In addition to that, the special surprise is 9 p.m. tonight as well, you'll also be able to get the Chronicle token as points on Sky.money. And so Chronicle is the original Oracle. The Oracle was built 7 years ago when the Maker protocol launched, and no other Oracles existed, and it's had a track record of keeping the entire Maker protocol safe and basically running uninterrupted for 7 years. And with this spin-off to Chronicle, and with the introduction of the Chronicle token and Chronicle points, I'm super excited that Sky is able to be the exclusive place where users can get a piece of this really, really interesting, long-standing Oracle protocol that is leveling up the standards of Oracles and innovating in areas like RWAs and just bring the benefits of DeFi to the people. Sky.money, 9 p.m. tonight, and you can get it.
Where's the after party?
Yeah, it's on top of the Marina Bay Sands. It's going to happen live 9 p.m.
I think asking any of the three of us to keep an answer to 1 minute is, is a bit futile,
Kain,
unfortunately.
Rune did 2 token launches, so you have to do 3 on this.
Yeah, I know, it's tough. So we actually also are doing a token launch. We have the launch of our patron NFT. The point of the way that we're launching this token, I said that we've tapped out the enthusiast market, and I think that is true. So we need the enthusiasts to become advocates for people who are living in CeFi today. There's a lot of people in crypto who are mainly, OKX or Binance users. They spend most of their time in people's databases. We want to bring those people on chain, but they need, informed enthusiasts to kind of help advocate for why they should come onto a new platform like Infinex. And so we're doing this patron sale, which ends on the 24th. So next week, and today we're opening it up to a much wider group of people. So you'll be able to connect your Twitter account and see whether or not you can access the Patreon NFT.
On Aave side, so obviously our main focus now is keeping building, first of all, keeping Aave as a protocol safe and secure, and basically. Eventually, we think that this is an infrastructure and whole of this kind of what I call big DeFi energy. So all of these OG protocols, Sky and Synthetics and Aave, keeping it as safe as possible and scalable. And innovation is a very core piece of what we are doing at Aave. And now we're focusing on the Aave v4, and which is going to be more efficient infrastructure for all types of lending and borrowing. And the reason to actually make more efficient infrastructure is that the whole lending and borrowing landscape will change a little bit. Well, not change, but it will expand. So there's going to be different types of value coming on chain, from RWAs to all different kinds of initiatives. And we want to prepare Aave to be a backbone of all of that type of lending and borrowing. So I think Vitalik recently was kind of talking about DeFi and the innovation there, and there's a lot of circular movements within DeFi. But what I believe is that DeFi actually can be used to extend all credits in the world. And to explain a little bit that, I think we have a little bit a misconception of the idea of a collateral, because collateral is essentially a promise to return something or a promise of future value to repay obligations. So what I think in the future is that credit, as it exists today, can be extended the same way anywhere in the world. The same way as banks are giving loans, or the same way as we have lenders, credit facilitation. That can all happen exactly as it is. And the form of tokenization, we get all of that value on chain, and then that's usable, for example, as a collateral in Aave, to extend more credit in terms of stable coins, and actually grow these markets and create an actual transparent ecosystem around the existing financial infrastructure. And I think that's the big focus point for us on the innovation side. And obviously now with the Maker Sky rebranding and the conversion of DAI to USDS, another interesting initiative is on the market side, is that USD is going to be listed in Aave, and that provides all kinds of interesting opportunities with incentives as well. And with this whole initiative and Infinex going to provide a lot of actually accessibility down the line, the idea is to grow the whole DeFi pie. So DeFi is still relatively small, and it's amazing to see so many early adopters here and enthusiasts, but the big picture is to actually get everything into mainstream, whether it's institutional road or the more like a user experience road. And that's what we're excited about. And last thing I can mention about what we're focusing on is to also create different kinds of use cases with new markets that can be adopted for particular use cases. So Aave is known for having like a very big liquidity pool, and we realize that there's also different kinds of use cases for tokenizing real-world assets and using them as a collateral and creating new markets in parallel. So those are interesting points. And obviously, Go is one big thing as well for us to grow down the line and provide more rate stability for the users that are borrowing at Aave, and same from USD as well.
Yes, and pulling a bit more on that thread of broader market adoption, Kain, I'm curious about synthetics and how you guys are approaching sort of broader market adoption for DeFi and your role in it. Particularly, you've been talking quite a bit about Infinex. How does this play a role in the broader synthetics and DeFi ecosystem?
Yeah, I mean, the genesis for Infinex was the fact that we had built synthetics and we'd iterated for years, and we'd finally got to this model, which was like late 22 that we deployed it, where we had a delta neutral perpetual market that was fully on chain. And there was a long time where people said that was not possible. You couldn't even build it. You couldn't design a system like that. And we had designed it and built it. It was deployed. It had been working for like 6 months. And I sort of looked around and I was like, this doesn't make sense that we've built something that's so useful and yet it's not actually being used. The volume that we were doing was like tens of millions a day. And then you look at a tier 3 CeFi exchange and they're doing $1 billion a day, right? And so it kind of forced me to really rethink some of the things that I guess as a DeFi founder I had believed about how adoption was going to work, what users cared about, and some of the things that I think that I sort of had to let go of was this idea of that non-custodial platforms were going to have an advantage from a consumer perspective over custodial platforms. And post FTX, I think that if there ever was a glimmer of hope that might be true, it was dead, right? Everyone went from FTX straight back to Bybit or Binance or whatever, and there was very little. There wasn't like a mass exodus from CeFi into DeFi, right? And so that really forced me to think about how we could take these protocols that we'd built and make them accessible to people who were living on centralized exchanges and who felt comfortable there. And so that was the genesis of Infinex, and we've gotten to a point now where you can get onboarded. I did a demo for someone yesterday, and I got to the end, and they were like, cool, when is this going live? And I'm like, no, this is live. And I think that they were kind of psyopsed into not believing that it was real because there was no signing, there was no gas, there was no weird stuff. You just clicked a couple of buttons and did a bridge on Arbitrum. And it looked almost too easy to not be real. But that's what we have in CeFi. CeFi, you just click a couple of buttons and a thing happens, and that's the baseline expectation from users. So we need to get to that point in DeFi where we can actually match the CeFi user experience.
100%. I think bringing more people from CeFi to DeFi and making it cheap, convenient, easy is super important. And moving on to you, Stani. So, the VAR ecosystem is super vibrant. The DAO is very active. I saw that you guys are now moving to Aptos as your first non-EVM deployment. Could you walk us through some of that rationale? And how do you sort of think the EVM dominance, so to speak, will continue to factor going forward?
Yeah, I've been building on Ethereum in basically EVM since early days of Aave and Eitland, and that's been like the whole developer experience has just become more and more amazing over time. So if you go years back in time, obviously there's a lot of kind of like obstacles, and it's becoming more better. So as an overall, the EVM ecosystem today is really appealing to innovate, to build DeFi, to build any type of smart contracts, and having like a really good set of tooling. And that is basically possible because in the Ethereum ecosystem, there's such amazing developer community over the years. And some people are more vocal online and kind of like talking about it, but like there's more developers there actually than anywhere else that care about the ecosystem, and they're more kind of like in the background because they've been doing this for years. So the whole ecosystem in EVM is quite amazing. And for us, obviously, like the way we think about Aave as a infrastructure or even just like a market is and a product is we want to go where the users are. So we try to actually utilize technologies to the extent that there is an opportunity. So if there is a community that is growing and there is some innovation on the infrastructure and it creates new opportunities for us in terms of market adoption and new users, that is very appealing. And also if we can see new types of use cases being built with Aave and empowering new audiences, lower transaction cost, higher frequency, those things are super appealing to our community. And I do think that, like that being said, it is always something that we have to build from scratch. So the value of EVM is that you can take that piece of software and copy it anywhere where there's an EVM on L2. And that is really powerful because you can expand to markets and use cases or specialized kind of like L2s really, really easily. And when you come to non-EVM, you have to write the whole code base from scratch. And we take security and very seriously in the sense that we will have to put a lot of time and effort. So that's where kind of like the challenge is. But we think that Aptos is a very interesting move for us because it's a growing ecosystem. It's focusing on high frequency. It's also focusing on financial use cases that are very close to, let's say, the traditional financial markets, basically stock markets and so forth. So that's why it brings exciting opportunities for us. So I do think we will see Aave pretty much anywhere where there's significant amount of users to expand the protocol and the brand. But I do think that I also kind of like want to end the whole like little bit like the tribalism between technologies, because there's no developer out there that is basically saying like, hey, you should build on AWS, or hey, you should build on like Google Cloud, like hey, you're dumb because you're building on this other stuff. Like nobody really cares. They care about the pricing, the efficiency, and then providing that utility for the users, and obviously uptime. Ethereum has amazing uptime, and a lot of these upcoming networks have provided like a lot of utility. So we have to put all that tribalism honestly into the side and just build where the users are, what the users want, what do they care about, and what brings them value. That is what really cares. And what actually Kain said is interesting is that it's all about getting people out of these databases and centralized exchanges and getting them actually into a decentralized environment where you control the keys. And we saw FTX. We're going to see again another exchange going to blow up at any point. So it's a question of time. So if you're using centralized exchanges or centralized providers, it's actually time to rethink and think how you can participate. And that's why also we need this innovation and better experience to make it easier. And I think that's why we are here.
Definitely. I think it's important to meet users where they are. And Rune, so Sky, which I'm still getting used to, lots of news. I think with the rebrand and the re-architecture, there's a lot going on. So maybe walk us through where you guys are in terms of the implementation of the endgame plan, and what's coming up for the next 12, 24 months for you.
Yeah. So first and foremost is the upgrade to the Sky protocol tonight, 9 p.m. Best and easiest place to get rewarded for saving with DeFi. And you can access it on Sky.money and a bunch of other front ends starting 9 p.m. tonight. And you can upgrade your DAI to USDS and get native token rewards, including Sky tokens and the Chronicle points, just for holding USDS. Again, this is going live at 9 p.m. I know it's been a long time coming, so it sounds a little strange that now it's actually happening, but it's already here. And I think it's a really huge deal that we're able to take a protocol as old and the world's largest decentralized stablecoin and transform it into something that is more accessible and that's just designed to be available to use for people that, you don't have to be some kind of super genius to use this. You just go to Sky.money or another front end, upgrade your DAI to USDS or acquire USDS one-to-one with USDC and then click the button for what token reward you want. Another thing is, I think what really helps also showcase how Sky is just meant to be more accessible and more for regular people is the redenomination of the token, right? So MKR is one of the biggest DeFi tokens. It has it's a top, top 60 token currently. But the MKR token has always been very expensive. It's like more than $1,000 to buy one token. With Sky, it's redenominating 1 to 24,000. So what that means is anyone, you can go and here's a protocol with $300 million in revenue, $75 million in profits per year, right? The world's largest decentralized stablecoin. And now it's going to be possible to get into this and buy a token of this for 6 cents. So it's like a different level of accessibility. And of course, for us, DeFi autists, we just think in terms of numbers and ratios and whatever. But for a normal person, it's like if you tell them that something costs $1,000, that's not going to feel very appealing. If it's like you can just lock up your USDS, all you have to do is hold your USDS in the Sky protocol, and you'll be getting like a lot of these 6-cent tokens. Every single Ethereum block, I guess. You get that just for holding USDS, and that means now you get to be a part of this. You get to be a part of DeFi and own a piece of the protocols that you think have a future. That's the kind of stuff that that's what's going to bring DeFi to the mass market. And what Sky is going to do from here is just continue to build on that. So, like further out, I know this is an eternity in crypto. In 2 months or so, 2-3 months, the Spark token will launch, which is the first star, which is a whole other concept of how Sky is sort of subdividing itself into multiple parallelized ecosystems with different focus areas. And then each of these stars that launches, formerly known as sub-DAOs, where Spark is the first one, each of them has their own tokens, and they will also be available almost entirely exclusively through the native token rewards in the Sky protocol that you'll be able to get, easy to use, on Sky.money.
I just realized we launched yesterday the preseason of this trading card game in Infinex, and we have DAI in there, so we're going to have to redo the art for USDS. So thanks for that. I'm sure our designers are going to be very appreciative of the launch.
Yeah, everyone go check it out later today. Lots to upgrade. So, you guys as OGs, you've been doing this, building in DeFi for 7-8 years now. Very different market conditions, right? Like I look back at some of your market caps like over the last couple of years, and when it used to be the norm that you would launch at about a few tens of millions FDV. Now we see billion-dollar token launches out of the gate. Almost when that doesn't happen, the project is a bit of a disappointment. Like I'm just curious what you guys think of this trend. Is it good? Is it bad? Is it sustainable? This market expectation of like high FDV tokens?
Yeah, it's really kind of like sad from the perspective that we have this model of like kind of like a high FDV, low circulation coins because essentially the whole point of the space and the part of like the capital allocation and funding new ideas and projects is the accessibility. Like we basically have the most accessible infrastructure now available. So like it's, we can eliminate all kinds of single point of failures and middlemans, and you can like the way capital markets or let's say capital allocations should work is that the kind of like the best investors or the right investors should find the right teams and founders, and that should happen like in some sort of like a really efficient price discovery, and I just don't think that's happening now, and I actually think that the good old days of ICOs was much better model, because essentially that brought the accessibility for a lot of users who believed in the technology, and obviously during that time, like if you didn't do your research properly, obviously there's all kinds of side effects and scams and whatnot, but fundamentally it provided that direct access to finding and founding founders across globally, because our space is global. It's not really centric to specific locations, and most of the team are remote as well and coming together globally. So that being said, I think there is a kind of like an opportunity to create a much better model out there that actually provides the accessibility, have some sort of safeguards, and I do think that the venture capital side is very important in the space, and I never want to say that it isn't useful, because a lot of this innovation that is happening has been founded and seeded by venture capital, and they create a lot of content and do research. So it's just finding like right balance where people can participate and find these interesting projects and seed them as well. And I think everyone is now trying to experiment something. I'm actually curious, Kain, to hear your perspective, because you're experiencing now with your sale.
Yeah, I mean, it's tough, right? Because if you look at the current meta, if you execute this meta perfectly, you end up in a situation where you have a low float token, which and to your point, is probably a $2, $3, $4, $5 billion FDV, and it's almost guaranteed to be unsustainable, right? Even if the token and the project can eventually grow into that FDV, it's going to take years. Our projects have been around for a very long time to get to a point where it's believable that they have Lindy, that they will work, and it took a lot of iteration to get to that point, right? They didn't immediately work and scale. We had to do many different things, right? Psi to die to so it's hard to see how a new project today that executes the current meta perfectly doesn't end up in a situation where basically everyone's disadvantaged. Right? And that's challenging, but then the flip side of that is, okay, well, what do we do about it? Because if you try and break the meta and you try and do something differently, then it's incredibly hard to actually get people to engage with the project, right? And if it weren't for the fact that I am who I am, trying to do what we're doing with the patron sale, where it's an NFT, and there's all of these weird, convoluted rules and games. Maybe not as complex necessarily as Sky and the splitting out, but like it's even that. Like we're talking about very complex things. It's hard for a first-time founder to turn up and be like, here's what I'm doing. I was talking to a VC yesterday who was like, if anyone else turned up and was pitching me this, I wouldn't even take the meeting. Like, it's just nonsense, right? Like, I'm sorry, you're not rebuilding Binance on chain. I don't know what this NFT thing is. Like, so it's very hard for someone new to the space or a first-time founder to turn up and break that meta. And I think that that's why it's beholden on us, people who've been around for a long time, who've seen the better games that we had in the earlier part of DeFi, to try and bring back the good elements of that, right? Support the good elements of that kind of capital formation and try and shift the meta away from this, because the current system is definitely broken and we need to try and fix it.
Yeah, I think as basically the point both of you made, that actually low float, high FDV sucks for everyone. It's not great, and it's like very short-sighted. And again, this is what we represent here, is like there's real value. There's real long-term value in this space. You don't have to kind of try to extract a bunch of value up front. And you don't want to. Like it's not even, nobody even gains from it, not even the people doing it. If you just extrapolate a little bit into the future, it's clear that because there is real potential. There's real value creation. There's real product market fit. There's things like this little thing known as profits. That means that you don't have to care so much about the token price. What you have to care about is how do you create value for your users, for your community, for the contributors, and having a token that only goes down is not really going to help with that. So I actually think it's much better to be in that position of like being fairly valued, and then just don't focus on getting the price to go up. Focus on making it easy to use and get the benefit for the users. Like when that's the case, then actually you kind of want your token price to be low. You want it to be easy to access. You want to build, your loyal community that feels like they're part of something that's growing, that's working for them, that are not like hostages to the project. And I think, you look at Synthetics and Aave and Maker, and all achieve this. And with Sky, this is like really what we're doubling down on. Like, how do you sort of weaponize this concept of tokens as something that brings people in, that aligns them and actually turns the community into something that helps spread the product. And so the product itself, all it has to do is be easy to use, deliver clear value, and you've got this sort of decentralized group of people that's going to help spread it and grow it and control it over time.
I mean, yeah, like if you look at Maker, right, there was a long period where MKR was like only for like ETH OGs, right? They were the only ones who could afford it because, it was such an expensive token. And even though we know that doesn't make any sense, you can buy a fraction of MKR, it still makes it less accessible, right? It makes the community, smaller and less diverse. And so, by tweaking things and changing the rules, you bring a whole bunch of new people into the space that maybe wouldn't have engaged with the project otherwise, right? Like that's why, I think things like what you've done with Sky are so important.
Well, I think all of you have built amazing communities, and the dedication to accessibility and usability is really evident here. So any potential DeFi founders in the audience, do take note. Now we're mostly out of time, but I did promise Q&A. So if there are any questions in the audience at all, I think we have time for one. Yes, no? Okay, I'll keep.
Can I ask a question to the audience? Like, how many of you are using DeFi? That's a lot.
Pretty good.
That's not bad. Yeah, congrats everyone.
Yeah.
How many of you are going to get Sky token rewards 9 p.m. tonight?
Great. Well, okay, final question then. Everyone loves a prediction or something controversial, spicy that, people don't really think is like sort of non-consensus. So let's end on that note. Like, I'd love to hear your prediction on either where we'll end the year or what will happen next year or just something contrarian.
Yeah, I think for me, this year has really felt like 2019. It's felt like that kind of head fake market where, you can't convince me that this is a bear market. Like I don't buy it. If this is the new bear market, it's a very different situation to what 2018 was, for example. That was a very different environment. And so my view is that we will get some activity that will start to generate attention and awareness early next year, and that I think that that will be kind of the kickoff point for the cycle to kind of ramp up again.
Yeah, I think what's coming with all of these initiatives to make DeFi easier to use, it's going to really start to pay off over the next year. I mean, it's for us, for Sky, it's initially just going to get over the barrier of like, Maker's now Sky. That seems kind of strange. Why is that happening? But you'll see things like, USDS, it's objectively, it's a better way to brand a stablecoin and get more people into DeFi and get native token rewards on their assets, which is something exclusively possible with DeFi. And then from there, you're sort of in already. You're comfortable. You can start exploring other protocols, other things that you can do in DeFi. And this is kind of how every single DeFi project plays off each other, right? It's one, it's one big box of Legos being put together in different ways. They all fit together. They all synergize in various ways. And all the big protocols have sort of found different niche areas that they specialize in, right? So there's like big stablecoin, that's Sky, big borrowed land, that's Aave, and now there's Infinex, which is the Binance for DeFi. I mean, I'm super excited for that. Can't wait to have USDS native token rewards in there. It's going to be a big driver of users, I think. Yeah, I think it's going to take off. You know, DeFi is going to be the central thing in crypto. No more meme coins and all that stuff stealing our thunder. We're done with that. It's going to be DeFi from now on.
Yeah. Yeah, and I would add that I would say that end of 2025 we'll have 1 trillion worth of value in DeFi with TVL and RWAs, and I also think that with all these tools that we're building, there's going to be actually like more and more people are using, like normal people, and I mean we see it happening already quite a lot. It's just basically we're in the inflection point of having mainstream tools to build to everyone, and I think this space is going to grow, and we're going to get more and more people and builders to actually innovate on top of all the infrastructure.
Amazing. Well, I could go on asking you guys questions for a while longer, but we are out of time. Thank you, Kain, Rune, Stani, for an amazing way to start the day, and thank you everyone for being such a wonderful audience. I hope you have a great 2049.